There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, happiness, health, and peace of mind. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Burns, and I teach practical spirituality. Delighted to bring you another amazing episode of Spirituality Rocks with Temple Hayes. What I want you to know about this show is that each week we bring you nationally renowned guests that will inspire you and empower you to awaken your divine nature and expand your consciousness as we teach you skills for life mastery. We invite you to like us on Facebook, Spirituality Rocks. There's a group and there's also a page, so check us out. You'll see lots of past shows there. You also can go to YouTube, My Madhouse TV, and check it out there. And just type in the name of a guest and that we've had on the show, and it'll come right up. So I'd like to tell you there's lots of great things going on in the New Thought community right now. Next week we're cruising in consciousness. We're going next Thursday out of Fort Lauderdale down to Cozumel. And our guest speaker is the Reverend Dr. Sheila McKeithen, who is the newly appointed president of the Universal Foundation for Better Living. She's an absolutely phenomenal, inspirational teacher. She'll be with us. It's still not too late to sign up. You can go to www.newthought.org. That's newthought.org to check out more of that. And don't forget unity.fm. My friend Galen McDowell has a great great radio show on Truth Transforms every Wednesday. You can go to unity.fm and check that out. And also at the end of the show, we scroll a few pages of different links for information about New Thought. But don't forget to check out www.spiritualityrockstv.com and you'll find more information. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about our guest. She's from Florida, St. Petersburg, Florida. And what I love about her is that she's described as a rebel, a renegade, and a person who's been resurrected 1,000 times. She's a prophet and a mystic for our time, and if you've seen her previously on Spirituality Rocks, you know that that's true. Temple has a conviction that the Creator loves you as you are and wants to have a conversation. And so we're going to learn lots of practical tools to shift your consciousness. And Temple wrote this amazing book, When Did You Die? This book was very helpful to me when I was going through mourning and I was feeling kind of lethargic and kind of schlumpy. This book was just absolutely fantastic. 8 steps to stop dying and start 8 steps to stop dying every day and start waking up by Temple Hayes. And so with that, I'd like to give a great big warm welcome to Spirituality Rocks, the Reverend Temple Hayes. Welcome.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be with you, and I love the fact that you weave in and out of your show the word practical, because to me that's just such a powerful word, because practical has within it the word practice. And you're offering so many tools and so many thoughts that allow people to practice every day and how to have a phenomenal and amazing life. You know, often when people think of spirituality, they get so caught up in what does spirituality mean versus how can spirit work through me, you know? And I just love what you're doing. So I'm one of your fans out here in the universe.
All right, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. One thing that I like about your book is that you talk about going from pain to gain. It's in the section under One World and One Heart. For those who have the book, it's on page 101. You're talking about going from pain to gain. Tell us more, please.
Well, we are told in our society that, you know, hard times, if they don't break us, will be better. Or we tend to avoid pain because the initial part of it is very uncomfortable. But the reality is that problems that come into our lives, they really help and offer us an opportunity to be more once we're on the other side of it, okay? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people live life just overcome one more problem. And they always have that next problem right in front of them. Well, once I get through that problem, then maybe I will be more or whatever. And I love to use the acronym, Janine, of a stop sign.
Okay.
Still trying, overcoming problems. STOP. Still trying, overcoming problems. That's not what life is about. Life is about not overcoming things so much as it is facing what is on your path so it will grow you to become more in your life. I look at all the things in my life that at the time I would have thought, wow, that's huge. How am I going to walk through this? But yet, on the other side of it, I'm not even the same person now. I have more energy. There's a greater sense of youth about me. I've really learned that spirituality rocks because of walking through it.
Right.
And that's what it means, is that through the pain that you walk through, you gain a greater sense of who you are.
Exactly. One of the things that you speak about in the book, which was so inspiring for me, I mean, I knew the idea, but the way that you spoke about it was fantastic, because you said that we each have an inner GPS. I just love your idea of the GPS. Please tell the people about it.
Well, if you liken it to the metaphor or the analogy of our new automobiles now, you put into the navigation system the address of where you want to arrive. And I don't know about you, but I've been in cars with people that they question that navigation system. And I'll say, have you ever been here before? And they'll say, oh, no. And I said, well, don't you want to trust, the navigation system? And you can't hold something accountable or get upset with your car because it doesn't take you where you wanted to go if you didn't follow the directions. And I think that's one of the, if you would say, the downfall of so many people in their human suits this day and time, is they have a direction. They're giving the universe that they want to go. They want to be in a happy marriage, or they want a successful career, or they want some of their dreams to come true. And they're getting directions on what to do and how to turn and where to go, but they're not listening. And yet they blame God and say, why is this not happening in my life? When they're just not paying attention to the navigation system, giving the directions they need to take.
Right. And the acronym that you gave for GPS is God Personalized System. So then what you're really talking about is this is personalized, this intuitive connection that we have with Spirit. And I love that. God Personalized System. I think that's just amazing. And you wrote in the book, you said, think of your GPS this way. If you enter, like you were saying before, the wrong address into your navigation system to take you home, it'll take you where you tell it to go, but you'll never get back to your house. And that's how so many of us live our lives, that we are divinely guided, we're divinely inspired, but we're not taking actions and steps in the direction. And I guess we do it out of fear, or maybe we don't want to be ridiculed, or we think, oh, we can't do it, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not whatever enough.
Right. You're so right. One of the statements I've been massaging since you and I talked before is the idea that our past describes us, but it does not define us. Our past describes us, but it does not define us. And that's a powerful statement, because so many people let their past define them day in and day out. This is what happened to me. This is what I've gone through. Well, in my past I was an addict, and that's why I'm still, do this and do that, and can't have a good relationship, and blah, blah, blah. But yet our past can only be a way of describing ourselves. This is my history. These are some of the experiences I've had. But it doesn't have to define us unless we make an agreement for it to do so. I've met people, Janine, they've come to me, they've flown in from other parts of the country to talk to me about their issues. I've sat with people that tell me that they still have problems with their ex. And I'll say, well, how was that recent? Or, oh no, we've been divorced for 25 years.
Oh boy. Wow.
Well, that's a person that lets their past define them rather than describe them. How do you like that?
It's just amazing that, that 25 years ago, and we are letting that define us rather than, thinking outside of the box, learning there is a new way that if we change our thinking, our lives can really change. Especially if we have a book like this, When Did You Die? 8 Steps to Stop Dying Every Day and Start Waking Up. You can check this out at www.templehayes.com. You also can go on to Amazon and order it there. Now, it's time. We got to pay the bills. We have a commercial break. So if you stay tuned, we'll be back in just a little while with more of Temple Hayes and Spirituality Rocks.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. A vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
I think this is a good time to tell you. You're doing okay, Mom. I can call you Mom, right? I know we haven't known each other very long, but you seem like a real keeper. You're not perfect. There was that strained carrots incident. but you're trying. You pick up my bottle every time I toss it out of my stroller. That's high comedy to an 8-month-old. You hum the Barber of Seville when you wash my hair. So cool. And your rub-downs are out of this world. Anyway, I want you to know how much I appreciate you. You know, right? How much I love you? You're doing okay, Mom.
Shannon Gates is the #1 fence provider on Long Island, with the most inventory in stock, including vinyl, chain link, and aluminum. Gates offers a custom powder-coated system that prevents rust throughout the life of the fence. We carry fence tools to the trade. We even stock wood, rail, and glass hardware as well. Shannon Gates has our very own patented locking system. The next time you need fencing of any sort, both commercial and private, give Shannon Gates a call at 631-392-4330. You can also visit our website at shannongatesinc.com.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Burns, delighted to bring you another fantastic episode. And this week we are with the Reverend Temple Hayes. She wrote this book, When Did You Die? 8 Steps to Start Dying Every Day and Start Waking Up. You can check it out at www.templehayes.com or go to amazon.com. And so, before the break, Temple, we were talking about how, well, you were saying that it's epidemic that people are tied to the past. And I was saying there was a friend I knew who was living in all their glory from when they were in high school, and this person was 50 years old. And talking about when, they were on the football team or they were in this rock and roll band and on and on and on. So what's with that? Why are people so caught up in the past?
Well, because they haven't really walked through the emotions of situations that can carry them or catapult them, forward. As you know, I continue to use the example of an automobile. And to me, the automobile represents how you move and maneuver through life. And if you look at an automobile, it has the windshield, which is the vision of us moving forward.
Right.
And it has the rear view mirror, which is our past. And when you look at it as a frame of reference, how small the rear view mirror is compared to seeing how you move forward is quite measurable. Don't you agree?
It is, and it's a great analogy, by the way.
But people, they keep talking about what happened to them when they were drinking, the challenges they had in their marriage. And what they do is they also try to avoid not having that again. And so what they create over and over again, because you talk about the practical practicing of using a law that's always working, if you live life avoiding what you don't want again, guess what we get more of is what we don't want again.
Exactly.
And so broad subject. When I say epidemic, what I mean is that very few people in that way are thinking for themselves. Mm-hmm. They're trying to use analogies or concepts that's a one-size-fits-all, and you really do have to use your own God-personalized system. Just because your parents didn't have money and you grew up in hard times doesn't mean you have to try to grow up for the rest of your life going through hard times.
Exactly. You can step out of that box, out of that box, and get a new thought, a new idea, a new attitude. And that, that's one thing so exciting about practical spirituality. If you can get a new idea and really hold on to it, it's like a snowball coming down the mountain. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You talk a lot, even in the book, you mention, synchronicities and circumstances that you're in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. I remember reading a whole section on that. And isn't that a wonderful way to live? Then you know that you're in the flow of life.
Yeah, I think you're alluding to talking about connecting the dots.
Yes, indeed.
You know, there's people that will have a morning prayer and say that they want to be real busy in their business, but then when the phone starts ringing, they feel interrupted by it. You know what I mean? Because they're not connecting the dot that the very thing they asked for is now what's coming their way.
Exactly.
And it's that amazing ability to be able to sit in that and kind of, it's almost like you become the silent observer of your life, so you can be aware. Like, for example, if you're trying to maybe repair something, so you can hurry and get out the door, and you're into that. I got to rush. I got to hurry. I got to go to Starbucks. I got to get my latte. I got to rush. I got to go. But then all of a sudden, everything you attempt to do is getting in your way. Instead of fighting against it, it's the ability to relax into it and say, wait a minute, let me just take a moment and let me just even see if I'm supposed to go where I think I'm supposed to go today. You know, you connect the dots. You just become attentive of all the things that are going on around you. And that way you stay grounded and proactive instead of being somewhat violent, and in other words, violating yourself, and rageful and reactive.
Right, gosh. You know, and then you just tailspin. You start getting reactive and you tailspin. It really stinks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Protect your mother and your father on all the people driving out in the expressway with you.
that's funny. That's funny. You know, I don't want to gloss over that part. I do have a whole bunch of things I want to speak to you about. But in talking about the past, and you were saying, you know, it's an epidemic, how people can't see past the past, you do have a whole section in the book about feeling the fear, and that how it's important that we actually have, if we feel the feelings of a circumstance. And you even say here is that, you know, you needed to do something and you felt fear and you did it anyway, but the fear came back, and you said, then it's likely the fear wasn't truly felt. You processed it through thinking rather than feeling it away. And, you know, I remember years ago I heard this phrase, the way out is through. It was 20, 30 years ago. I was listening to a tape. The way out is through. And I thought about that. And I realized that my willingness to sit with the emotion, you know, I think, oh, I don't want to think I'm going to cry, I'm going to be so sad forever. And, you know, my willingness to sit with it and let it out, it dissipates. Whereas when I resist it, like, no, then we've heard that when what you resist persists. And it would just keep coming back and plaguing me. And you know, sometimes things take a while to process. You know, you don't do it in one shot. But that's so critical. You talk about that in your book. And actually the chapter is called From Fear to Feeling to Freedom.
Yeah, well, it's been proven time and time again that until we sit with the feeling, we resonate with it, we have a relationship with it, it will always have a relationship over us. And therefore, we'll keep going through experiences, through people, jobs, moments of rejection, dysfunction, or whatever they are, until we make peace with that feeling. And therefore, then we transcend it in a new place, and we can then choose something else. But the avoidance of the feelings continues to create us to recreate these patterns over and over again, and keep us from really a vibrant life. It takes a lot of energy, I've found, at least in my own experience. It takes a lot more energy to be unsuccessful than it does to be successful. Because you have to work real hard at forcing life to give you the same, deal you the same deck of cards over and over again, and attempt to call it something different. I mean, that takes a lot of work, versus being into the success of letting life unfold for you by feeling your feelings and realizing that they never had any power over you in the first place. It was just the avoidance of them that made them so significant in your life.
Exactly. It was the avoidance of them. Very well put. I'd like to briefly talk about my warrior shield because another couple of minutes, it's time for another commercial break. I love this, my sacred warrior shield. And one of your teachers told you to go into prayer and ask for a divine symbol that would resonate with you energetically. And you use this as a symbol, and it's a sacred warrior shield. And so that anytime you had a sense of fear or if there was a sense of danger, that you would, in your mind, you'd hold up the shield and you'd literally deflect or dissipate the energy associated with whatever the circumstance was. And so you went into meditation and you found this really cool symbol. I'm not sure that the camera can see it. Isn't that a neat symbol? It's like an infinity downside, and there's hands holding on to that. That's fantastic. Tell us more about your warrior shield.
Well, I use the shield. What I realized is that one of my deepest fears was an immense sense of danger. And maybe, many lifetimes of being a crusader or being a spokesperson for truth, maybe there's been a few of those times that it didn't go well being outspoken. But so I brought this tremendous fear of danger in declaring my truth, speaking my truth, being in public life, stating what I believe. And so I would have these sensations of being very uncomfortable about those kind of things and being afraid that something was going to happen to me. Now, it wasn't intellectual. I didn't really have that feeling like, oh my gosh, something's going to happen to me. But it was at a deep core level that had been there probably since ancient times. And what I have found is that often we can't think a feeling away.
Okay.
We can't think it away because if we could, we wouldn't have any feelings that get in our way because we're pretty astute at thinking. We've got that down to a science. And so symbology and archetypes I've found to be really powerful to transcend you to the next level. So my particular sacred shield, every time I would have a feeling of something was about to happen or something was going to happen to me, that sensation, I would visualize holding that shield up in my mind and those thoughts would just dissipate.
That's okay.
And over time, Janine, I hardly ever had those thoughts again.
Yeah.
Because they went back to the nothingness from whence they came, as Emerson would say.
Exactly. And gosh, and what a fantastic tool. I love practical spirituality, that we have like an arsenal. It's like a spiritual tool belt that we can pull out tools like this. And that's a really particularly good one. Alrighty, time for a commercial break. It's not going to be a long one, so don't go too far. We'll be back with more of Spirituality Rocks.
Stretching under sedation, or manipulation under anesthesia, is a very gentle, very precise procedure to very slowly release any scar tissue that is formed as a result of a traumatic injury. Many people ask, how does this work? Will I get hurt? Will you stretch me too far? We only stretch the body part to its normal range of motion. After completing the post-MUA rehabilitation program, it's very common that our patients say to us, hey, I can play ball with my kid again. Hey, I can bowl again. Hey, I can enjoy hiking again. This is what makes it rewarding to us as practitioners.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Do dogs chase cats?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Burns. I teach practical spirituality. I also live on Long Island. I do a lot of celebration of life memorial services, and I also do a lot of weddings. If you happen to live on Long Island and you're looking for someone to be your officiant, you can check me out at ilovetodoweddings.com. You spell it like you say it. And our other website is youarethelight.org. Again, you spell it like you say it. Now, we have with us from St. Petersburg, Florida, Temple Hayes, the beautiful inside and out Temple Hayes, who wrote the book, When Did You Die? 8 Steps to Stop Dying Every Day and Start Waking Up. Check it out, www.templehays.com, or go to Amazon. Now is a special treat. I love this part of the show, is when our guest is willing to do what's called an affirmative prayer. We don't beg, cajole, or plead a power outside of us to do something to us or for us. God can only work for us, through us, and as us. So what we do is we get quiet and we do an affirmative prayer where we recognize this amazing power that expresses as us, and we decree and declare in the positive tense that which we choose to experience. Whether or not it is our current experience, we declare it with absolute faith. And as Temple says in the book, she says, trust is a muscle. And so the more we pray, the more we build our trust. The more we build our trust, the more we build our faith muscle. And so, Reverend Temple, would you be willing to do an affirmative prayer? Perhaps you could do it for prosperity or employment. I think those are issues that are interested to a lot of people.
Yeah, I would absolutely be honored to do that. And before I do, I would just like to create kind of a visual in people's minds to really show the power of prayer. Because when we're talking about prayer, prayer doesn't change God. Prayer changes us. Prayer doesn't change life. Prayer changes us. And when we think about every one of us, we've seen that little plant burst through the cement in order to live. And that's what we call the life intelligence. That life intelligence is so powerful that it does what it's supposed to do. Even though cement is in its way, that little plant comes bursting through. And so holding that within our consciousness and within our reality, we call forth now the intelligence. There is only one power, this intelligence in the universe, that has its greatest pleasure by expressing greatness and abundance through each and every one of us. It knows exactly what to do and how to do, and our only job is to allow it to happen through us, be it creative ideas, be it willingness to think new thoughts, be it willingness to step into a new horizon, or to let go of things that we no longer want. There is that intelligence that we affirm and know in the way of abundant life. Just as the grass continues to grow, the fish are in the ocean, there is that essence within each of us that is plentiful. There is enough money on this planet that every one of us be wealthy. And we call that energy forth now as we realize that financial and expression of a job and career is simply a matter of aligning with our energetic being. We give thanks to that intelligence for recognizing that. We give thanks as we recognize the true cause and effect, that we get what we bring. We bring abundance, and therefore we fit in its own essence. And for that we are grateful. We give thanks. and we let it be so.
And so it is, and thank you. Woohoo! All right.
So it is.
And so it is. Good, good. You have a whole chapter at the end of your magnificent book, When Did You Die? And it's chapter 7, It's Only a Shadow. And you talk about how to understand and transcend the shadows in your life. Please explain to us what a shadow is and how we transcend it.
Well, if you look in everyday life, the shadow is what gets in the way of the true sun shining. It's the light itself. It's the overcast. It's what's cast over us that prevents us from a thriving and vibrant life. And I really wanted to look at, in every way I could, think about the ways that we die a little energetically in our lives in one way or another. And one of those things I found is that often, and I think you recall this, Janine, from all your studies, is Dr. Ernest Holmes said it's really our inability to tell the truth that causes such problems in our humanity and everyday life. And if we can start really telling the truth and being real, we will be able to transcend our greatest desires. And so for me, I identified with shadow talk. And it's good to become aware in practicing to listen to what you say. First of all, a lot of people just say words that they don't really mean, like, I can't wait to see you again, when nothing could be further from the truth. Or, I'll give you a call, and then they don't. So we put a lot of information out there that we don't really mean. It's just kind of chatter. But shadow talk is when people are going through challenges and they'll look at you and they'll go, well, Janine, it's not really that big of a deal. Well, what I would say is if it wasn't a big deal, you wouldn't be talking about it in the first place. Would you agree?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of times people will say, it doesn't really bother me.
That's not true either.
It's not true at all. There's no truth to that. Or I'll deal with that later. Later never comes. Later is right now. I've heard people say, I can't take one more thing.
Ooh.
And I think to myself, really? If I called you and offered you $100,000, you couldn't take that?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
If I gave you a cruise around the world, would you turn that down because you're saying, I can't take one more thing? And it's just words that we use because we may be busy, we may be active, but there's a lot of one more things that could be happening that could be very tragic that aren't happening.
Indeed.
The one I think is a very metaphysical is everything happens for a reason.
I do not like hearing that. People say that to me, and it just sounds so flippant. And what does that mean? Everything happens for a reason. Like there's an evil power that's going to do something to you. What does that mean?
It's like a glorified cliche. The
Yeah.
problem is it's not uplifting. It's often condescending.
Indeed.
And the absolute truth of life, I think we live long enough to be able to look back and go, yeah, that was a good reason that happened. But when people are in the midst of it, it is not, it's kind of like metaphysical malpractice to use it. And if you're saying it to yourself, often we're cutting ourselves short or shy of what we're really supposed to get to. In order to get to a new place within ourselves.
Okay. A lot of times people will say that the universe will never give me more than I can handle. That's one that people say. What would you say about that?
Well, I would say that all of us aren't in a line and we aren't all receiving our own allotment of what is tragically due to us. The universe isn't giving me more, it's not giving me more than I can handle. We're implying that we're people that are being done unto.
Right.
And even though we might praise ourselves in being more enlightened and more awake, we're still using a lot of that traditional religiosity to dump on us as being victims when we're not.
And then even in the book, you're talking about how that gives this idea that, God is doing to us, as you just said, but that we don't have any choice in that process. We don't have any action that we can take. So, this one I hear where people say a lot, they say, it is what it is. That one irks me. What do you mean it is what it is? Are you resigning yourself to an awful fate that you have to put up with? Isn't there any hope or possibility that you could cling to and that you could engender? I mean, my goodness, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's another glorified way of using a cliche rather than really telling the truth about what a person feels or what they're actually experiencing.
Right.
It's just a delayed reaction that at some other point is going to surface. And I think that often, my call out to people that are practicing metaphysicians is when we use statements like this is one of the reasons that in the early days we weren't really taken seriously. Because we sounded like we were cutting off people's ability to be in their own humanity. And those quick glorified answers, they don't give much promise of possibilities to look beyond the physical and to make changes in an intelligent way.
Right. Let's see, is it time for a commercial break? I think we have one left. But before we do, can you talk a little bit about your cruise that's coming up? I understand you're taking a cruise September 19th.
September the 19th through the 26th, thank you. We're going on a Spirit at Sea cruise to Alaska.
Woo!
It's going to be amazing, and I'm going to be sharing several more techniques from the book and working with people energetically. So for the people that have been thinking about having an amazing life a week that can transform their lives, this is the week to do it. And obviously we're in Alaska, so we're not going to be in a workshop every day.
No, and Alaska is, if people talk about Alaska, that is some of the most beautiful parts of all of the United States.
Yes, absolutely. So love you to join me. Go on my website, TempleHayes, HAYES.com, and the information is on there. But we're filled up pretty quickly, so we would want you to go ahead as soon as you decide to go and put your deposit down. It is refundable, but go ahead and make the commitment to a cabin.
And where exactly are you going out of? Are you going out of Vancouver? Are you going out of Anchorage?
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So you're going to go to the inner waterways then. Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
You're going to go to Juneau and Ketchikan or...
Yeah, and the itinerary is on access through my website. It kind of gives you the play-by-play of every day.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I'm going to check that out. That sounds really good. Alrighty then, so time for this one's a brief commercial break, so don't go too far. We'll be back in just a moment with more of Spirituality Rocks.
Dunkin' Donuts are always fresh.
I made the donuts.
We make them at least twice every day.
Time to make the donuts.
Not a few kinds, like supermarket.
I made the donuts. Time to make the donuts.
But up to 52 varieties.
The donuts. Time to make the donuts. I made the donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts, up to 52 varieties, fresh day and night. No supermarket can say.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. Please like us on Facebook. Check it out, Spirituality Rocks. Also, if you want to check out some past episodes, go to www.spiritualityrockstv.com. I'd like to give a shout out to my producers, Janine Zarelli and Tommy Marr, the Woodstock Guru. Thank you for making the show so easy and comfortable each week. We film live from the Madhouse TV studios in Deer Park, Long Island, New York. And I want you to know that our host today, well, I'm the host, but my special guest, that's Temple Hayes. Her book is called When Did You Die? 8 Steps to Stop Dying and Every Day and Start Waking Up. You can check it out at www.templehayes.com. There's a banner across the screen. And also, while we're on hold, we were talking about ForeverYoungSolutions.com. Forever Young Solutions. I was talking about oxygenated water, and tell us a little bit about ForeverYoungSolutions.com.
Well, ForeverYoungSolutions.com is actually my partner's company. She's been doing it for 20 years. And it's a company called Nikken, Nikken, and she offers products which keep people forever young. So pretty easy to remember, but water systems, both under the counter and countertops, that are pie water, so living water, which actually your body recognizes, supplements that are made from whole food. So your body doesn't release them, but actually stores them, magnets and air systems. And there's a lot of different things on there, and most of them I continue to use and have used for 17 years. And I definitely know I have a difference. My doctor told me I'm one of the most hydrated people they've ever tested. So it works. I'm a firm believer about energy and life force. And I think it's important for us as spiritual leaders to model having energy and being energetic rather than weary and worn out and tired from the whoops and woes of the world. And so I'm always seeking things that I understand as being either energy givers or energy zappers. One of the things in our culture today that's zapping people's energy is profanity.
Oh, good. Let's talk about that. Definitely. Go ahead, go.
It's the new norm that you go to movies and every other sentence has 3 F words in it. If you do kinesiology testing and you start talking in our regular language and using words that are affirming or just using everyday language, and you test yourself, and then you start cursing and you test yourself, you can watch the energy totally go down in the person.
Yep.
It's amazing, and people are doing it so unconsciously that they have no idea how much energy it's taking out of their life field and force every day. And I've had people want to argue with me and say it's just a word. And I say, well, why don't you test yourself? If you don't want to believe me, test yourself and you'll see what I'm talking about. It totally zaps you. And besides that, it's not very professional, and it's not impressive, and it's certainly not becoming.
Well, and also, you diminish your capacity of your skills on using the English language. There's people who use the S word all the time, and they so much so, and I'll challenge them not to use it, or say something like, well, how about you give me $1? I bet you can't not curse. Oh yeah, I cannot curse. And they're so used to cursing, okay, give me $1 every time you say this word. And boom, and next thing they're in a paragraph and they owe me $10. It's just, something that personally I really don't like to hear, because a lot of times I energetically feel things. So then when someone says that, I feel discordant energy.
Yeah, and you do, because you're in tune and you're consciously aware of your life, and so does everybody else. They're just not conscious of it. And I'm very clear with people. I mean, at the campus, it is an expectation and a policy that is not allowed, is not acceptable. People in my personal life know that I just don't want to be around it. And when people do talk like that, I have to tell them that it just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, I'm not going to lower my standards at this point in my life so I can feel comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Right. What campus did you just refer?
Well, I'm the spiritual leader at the Unity campus in St. Petersburg, Florida. We offer classes and courses that we teach, and we have people come and study with us that want to be ministers and teachers out in the field of spirituality, and I've been doing that for 23 years.
Wow.
Since I was a mere kid.
Apparently so. And so do you also give inspirational services on Sunday?
I absolutely do, and they're live online. You can go to unitycampus.org and access all the things that we offer at the campus.
Oh, I didn't know that. We could have made a banner. Do you hear that? unitycampus.org. Fabulous. Well, heck, I'm writing that one down. I'm going to be checking you out on unitycampus.org. That's fantastic. We just have a couple of minutes, but you started to speak about energy, and your last chapter in the book is called Moving Beyond Energy. 8 steps how to live awake, full, and present. That's a very popular topic now, about living present. Tell us a little more about this, please.
Well, that comes from the ability of understanding energy, because energy, we aren't given energy rations. I mean, on Sunday, we don't get an allotment of energy and hope we can use it and it will last us throughout the week. So we have to change our belief system about energy itself. I live on the beach. I've never seen a worn out egret or a worn out bird, because they're just so tired and it's so hard to be a bird, because they're working with that life intelligence. As I alluded to earlier before the prayer, when you're working with intelligence, you know that the universe is infinite, it is plentiful, and there's always enough. And so when you're coming from that premise, you can have a vibrant life. Yeah, you're going to have some times that you have loss, you have grief, you have challenge, those kind of things. But on the other side of all those things, you have the capacity to have more energy than you started out with. I know, because I've proven it to myself. I've lived through it. I know it works. And therefore, I just keep staying committed to it. I have more energy in my 50s than I ever did in my 20s or 30s.
Awesome. Well, looks like it's time to wrap it up. Gosh, this hour went fast. And
it sure did.
It sure did. So don't forget, you're going to go to unitycampus.com You're gonna
.org.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to change it to unitycampus.org. You're also going to check out Forever Young Solutions. You, of course, are going to go to templehays.com. And what was the address on the cruise? You go to templehays.com to check out the cruise?
That's right. It's right on the homepage.
Also,
yes.
and you know what? You're going to want to pick up this book, When Did You Die? 8 Steps to Stop Dying and Every Day and Start Waking Up, because there are so many tools in here that you can use, so many ideas that are going to just catapult you forward towards a greater capacity to live in the now moment, to live with greater energy, to live with more freedom and ease, and really to allow yourself to process stuff from the past, to release and let go, and so that you can move forward in your life with a real sense of joy and a sense of accomplishment. Love your book, love you. So grateful for you being with me today on Spirituality Rocks. Temple Hayes, I bless you and I appreciate you, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Janine, and thank you for everything you're doing. Really appreciate you.
Awesome. Be seeing you soon. Well,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, another great episode. Don't forget www.templehays.com and also spiritualityrockstv.com. Tell your friends. Send us an email if you know there's somebody you'd like us to be on the show, and we'll do that for you. Again, I want to thank the Madhouse TV studios, Janine Zerilli, and Tommy Marr, my producers, for making it so easy for Spirituality Rocks TV to happen. And so I'll be seeing you in 2 weeks. Next week is the Reverend Karen Giganti and the Reverend Kathy Caputo are having a special edition of Spirituality Rocks. The following week I'm having Daron Mardek, and following that will be Arjuna Ardav. So thank you again for joining me on Spirituality Rocks.